Well, there's a warning for anybody who thinks that there's no end to the sushi boom in the Warsaw area. There's a sushi bar or a sushi making and taking it to offices place. Maybe there's nowhere to eat the sushi in there, but the place for making sushi and taking them out to delivering them to local offices. This is just the south part of Warsaw as you come into Raszyn. Yeah, there's a Warsaw sign here, so it's just leaving Raszyn and getting into Warsaw. I was just in Raszyn because I didn't even intend to go to Raszyn actually. The reason I went there is that I came the wrong way out of Real shop here, and an exit that was previously functional had been blocked off with bollards, which meant I had to come out by the garage, which meant I had to come down here. And of course they're building this new bridge. It's not it's the motorway bridge for the Warsaw bypass. I didn't even know they were building it. This is the first time I've even clapped eyes on this thing, even though I don't think it's been that long since I was last here. It's the rate of construction once it gets underway in this country can be quite staggering, and sometimes you wait for 17 years for something to happen, and then all of a sudden, before you know where you are, it's ready, which is quite staggering. But anyway, it's all about money. Once the price is right and the conditions are right, then they jump into action and start doing things. The good old Poles. Anyway, so here we go. Here we have A moja nowa Kia Ceed ma 7 lat gwarancji, which is my new Kia CED has 7 years guarantee. I think they started doing that about 7 years ago, so what they should now do is they should take the sign off and put in Moja nowa Kia Ceed miał, had. Yeah, my new Kia, or my old Kia CED had 7 years of guarantee, which have just run out. Having that on there forever, it's going to last more than 7 years. It's a little bit silly. Maybe it was intended that it would peel itself off over that space of time, but I know that action started to be advertised on the back of those cars something like about 7 years ago, or if it isn't 7 years ago, it seems that way, and it certainly soon will be. Oh, here we've got some hitchhikers. I think that's not two ladies, that's a lady there and a man who looks like a lady, and certainly also behaves like one, because he can't get his girlfriend into a car. He has to sit there and let her do the attracting of male motorists. If it is a lady, she's certainly got a very masculine jawline and a very unfeminine body, and also a nasty habit of scratching the front of her trousers. In any event, the whole question about what's written on cars or what isn't written on cars, most of the cars around me right now as we're driving don't have that many things written on them. This car that I'm driving now used to have, because it was in my old company where I was an employee, and when I left I walked off with it, and later on, while it was that I was actually just driving a stolen car, I didn't actually take the company's things off it, but when it was, as I anticipated, then given to me as part of my package, then I took the old company sign off. I'm thinking of putting on it my own Huliganov TV advert. There's a little bit of a plug. Watch or follow huliganov.tv. It's a blog that covers the same sorts of topics I tend to put up in this channel, and a lot of the films from this channel, in fact all of them will be when I get around to it, will be up on there as well, under proper categories, so that you can more easily search for them. It isn't easy to search for 1000 through 1500, as it probably will be by the time you see this films, to find what film you might have once seen on my channel that you liked and you want to get it back up again and see what I said. That I always live in hope that might happen one day, and you can't find it because there's 1,500, and who's got the time to look through 1,500 films to see what I might have said one day? I know that I certainly haven't got the time, and it's my channel, so I certainly don't think you would either. But to help those things work, I've got lots and lots and lots of different categories on the right hand side there on huliganov.tv, and you can see either articles or films per category, and there'll be also geographical breakdowns of the different places that I've been, so you can look and see just about anything you like geographically. I think I've been to, I don't know, maybe there's 30 countries on there, just guessing. I haven't counted it out. There will be in the future, and they're not that many now because I only got through about 150 of my films, so about 10% of the films that I've done are on there, and I would rather have them all on there, but that all takes time, and yeah, I ought to really just push at it. I would have pushed at it in the summer holiday, but I got pneumonia instead, so that kind of put paid to that idea. But why did I start talking about cars and what gets written on them? And there still aren't that many bits of writing on the cars that are around me right now on this part of the road, except for that van, obviously, with Przeprowadzki written on, which is Polish for removals. The reason is because as I was in Raszyn, I decided I'd have to turn around. It wasn't easy, and go back again. Where I was earlier was in that garden centre, by the way, and I've got various plants and things in the back. You can't see them because they're behind that thing there. And I went to the restaurant just to look, because I knew it was closed, but I just wanted to know, I suppose it's the accountant in me really, wanted to know what they'd done with the premises that used to be a restaurant. And you've guessed it, it's turned into a specific business for putting signs on cars. So now you turn up with your car, you write what sign, or you have an idea of what logo you want, maybe you've got it on a JPEG, and they turn that into, in that business, they turn it into a mark or badges which can be then placed on the car. Either it's a stencil and they put the lacquer on, or it's an actual sticker. Often it's a sticker which is a high quality sticker that sticks to the car and you can't get it off afterwards, or at least not easily. So basically that's what that business now is. Now you might think that's a bit strange, because it was the best, in my opinion, the best quality Indian restaurant in Poland. This is a bit difficult because I've got the police ahead. But when you think, well, how can it such a great restaurant fail when people need to eat all the time, but people don't need to put signs on their cars all the time. Most of these don't even have, the cars around us don't even have anything written on them, and yet they've chosen to use what was a perfectly good location for a restaurant into something which you would think is used far less. And so if a restaurant wouldn't work there, then how is it that a car marking service works there? How can that be a viable business when a restaurant which is used all the time, a person might use a restaurant several times a week, but use a car marking service, well, maybe once or twice in a 10-year period, maybe more. I mean, if you've got your own business with a fleet of cars, it might be more, but how many people have got that in comparison with the proportion of people that need to eat or who do eat in restaurants, and who like Indian food? Obviously, anybody would guess that the best use of that territory would be an Indian restaurant, rather than, if you chose between, here's an interesting location, here's an interesting little space, you can have a restaurant here, or you can have a workshop for marking cars. Anybody would have guessed that the restaurant would have been the right way to go, but apparently not. There he is. He's stopped his restaurant and he started a car marking business. So obviously we'll see over time whether that's a success or not. But it makes you think, doesn't it? Different locations suit different types of business, and also, even though you might not need something very often, it's all about margins. And it's also all about catchment area, and it's all about competition. Because at the end of the day, you might not need a car marking to be done very often, whereas you need to eat in a restaurant, or I need to eat in a restaurant more often than I need a car mark, by far. hundreds of times more frequently do I need to eat in a restaurant than I need a car marked. But what if there are 1,000 times more restaurants than there are car marking places? Then the person who has a car marking place has got a great business opportunity, because he's got 10 times the demand per his supply than the people with restaurants have, as long as he's got the catchment area for it, which he might well have there. He might well have that there, as long as he advertises it properly and lets people know where he is. Then it might work, mightn't it, when you think about it? I just say it's a pity, but it just goes to blimey, it just goes to show, oh, what a lovely looking Vietnamese girl. Got to focus up on her, she's an absolute charm. Thanks for that, Vietnamese girl, Garmin, for dressing in that very elegant way with barely any clothes on. Needless to say, she's got a Polish boyfriend. The first of many, I should think. And now she's gone in the shop there. Anyhow, that's completely put out of my head what I was going to talk about. Just pull this back anyway. It's all, I say it's all about competition. I was going to bring that back to the question of languages. In the question of languages, or in the area of languages, if you talk a rare language, okay, it may be, let's compare Spanish and Portuguese. It may well be that Spanish is used in business in Poland. Let's say you're in Poland and you've got the question of whether to learn Spanish or Portuguese. Well, it may well be that there's a lot more opportunities to use Portuguese in business. Spanish in business. There's virtually no opportunities. Well, I've never had an opportunity to use Portuguese in business. I don't speak Portuguese, but if I did, I wouldn't have had an opportunity, as far as I'm aware, to have used it in business. I met a Portuguese guy once in Poland, connected to this bank. Oh, what's going on there? But I've never had a Portuguese speaking client. I've never had one from Brazil, and I never had one from Portugal coming and wanting to set up a business. At least not one that actually got as far along with me that I can actually send the guy an invoice, put it that way. And but if you looked out especially for that and put your CV in the Brazilian and the Portuguese and maybe a couple of other countries is commercial attachés offices, then maybe, and join the right kind of chambers of commerce, then maybe you could use it. Let's check and see if I've done this properly, because I'm working one-handed. Yeah, I've got to the end of my drive, so I'm going to close off. There's the rickshaw, by the way. So it's all about your competition there, isn't it? Let's imagine that you can use Spanish in business in Poland 20 times more frequently than you can use Portuguese. Let's say that's true. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's plausible in my experience. Now let's consider the first thing is that might change because Brazil's coming up. It's one of the BRICS. It's the B of the BRICS countries. I don't see much Brazilian investment into Poland. That doesn't mean to say there won't be, because if an economy grows and they come to a point where the companies in that economy want to start sticking their subsidiaries all over the world, that may well happen. So it's a question of looking at what the language is. Is the language trending or not? That's one thing. And the second thing is and this does break down a little bit, because most Spanish-speaking people could easily learn Portuguese. Most Portuguese people can understand a bit of Spanish, or most Portuguese-speaking people can more or less comfortably get by in Spanish. But if you are if you're in Poland, and let's say that you've got 20 times the opportunities of using Spanish in business and Portuguese, but there are 50 times as many Spanish speakers as Portuguese speakers. Let's imagine that there are. Then that means that you've got 2.5 more opportunities to be the one picked when there's an opportunity. Of course, if there are 0 opportunities, that won't help you, but it's rare that there are 0 opportunities. It's actually quite rare that there's no opportunities at all for an opening. It's all about the relationship between demand and supply. So this guy's had a fantastic restaurant, bad location, bad catchment area. In order to get out to his restaurant from Warsaw, you'd have to pass a dozen other restaurants that also served, well, maybe not anywhere near such good food, but who cares? You're going to get filled up, and you're going to pay less as well. So getting all the way out there, he didn't really run a delivery service either. So that was that, yeah. Whereas there, it's an occasional thing to do. Not many people do it, so you want to have your car marked. You look through car markers in the yellow pages or on the internet as it is now. If he's positioned himself correctly on something like Google, he's going to find that people know that he's there. They call him up. He's got his mobile phone in on the whole time. If unlike mine, it doesn't run out of batteries every 5 minutes. He'll be able to grab the business. He says, "Here I am. I'm not far off the road. You can see me at my map on Google. Come and I'll give you your car marking, whatever you want. I've got the right equipment." It's just a niche business. He might get really rich that way, just because of the correct match of demand and supply. Thus endeth the lesson for today on economics and languages. Thank you for your attention.